Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Enugu, there lived a young couple named Ngozi and John. They loved each other deeply and cared for one another, so much so that their relationship was the envy of many. Although their love was strong, there was one thing missing in their lives: they had no children. This lack of a child weighed heavily on them. They prayed fervently, attended countless crusades, and even tried IVF 3 times, but every attempt ended in disappointment. Their friends and family advised them to seek alternative methods, some even suggesting they try something fetish, but Ngozi and John were firm in their faith. They refused to compromise their beliefs, holding on to hope that one day their prayers would be answered. One day, Ngozi fell ill. She assumed it was another routine ailment, but when she went to the hospital for a checkup, the doctor delivered an incredible piece of news. "Madam, congratulations. You are 6 weeks pregnant," the doctor said, smiling warmly. At first, Ngozi couldn't believe it. She asked the doctor to repeat the test, but the result remained the same. Overwhelmed with joy, she rushed home to share the news with her husband. When John heard the news, he was overjoyed. He lifted his wife into his arms and thanked God repeatedly. From that day, John became even more attentive to Ngozi. He would leave for work late and return early every day to help her with chores and ensure she had no stress. "Honey," Ngozi said one evening, "you don't have to keep going to work late and coming back early because of me. Abai, our house help, is here to assist me." But John smiled and shook his head. "No, my sweetheart. Don't worry about me. I can even take leave from work to stay with you until you deliver our baby. I don't want you to lift a finger." Touched by his care, Ngozi thanked her husband, feeling more blessed than ever to have him by her side. True to his word, John took leave from work as soon as Ngozi's due date approached. 2 weeks later, Ngozi gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Their joy knew no bounds. At the hospital, John knelt down and thanked God for answering their prayers after so many years. When it was time to name the baby, the couple threw a lavish party. They invited all their family members, friends, and colleagues. The house was filled with joy and laughter as people came to celebrate with them. John's colleagues from the office attended, as did Ngozi's friends from church. Relatives from both sides of the family arrived in numbers, and neighbors joined the celebration as well. The guests brought numerous gifts for the baby clothes, toys, diapers, and plenty of cash gifts. By the end of the day, Ngozi and John felt overwhelmed by the love and support they received. After the guests left, Ngozi sat down in the living room, exhausted but happy. She looked at the pile of gifts and smiled, grateful for the blessings that had come their way. That night, after ensuring the baby was asleep in her cot, the couple went to bed. However, around 3 a.m., Ngozi woke up to use the restroom. On her way back, she glanced at the baby's cot to check on her. To her shock, the cot was empty. Her heart raced as she wondered what could have happened. Had someone entered their room and taken the baby? She quickly tried to wake John, but no matter how much she shook him, he didn't stir. Frustrated and terrified, she ran out of the bedroom to search for her baby. She checked one of the empty rooms, but it was vacant. She hurried to the living room and froze in shock at what she saw. There, in the middle of the living room, was her baby, walking up and down, happily giggling. Ngozi couldn't believe her eyes. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the sofa, fainting from the shock. John eventually woke up and noticed his wife wasn't in bed. Worried, he got up to look for her. He found her lying unconscious on the sofa in the living room. Startled, he rushed to her side and managed to revive her. When she opened her eyes and saw John, she burst into tears. "Honey, what happened? Why are you crying? And why are you lying here?" John asked, confused. Through her tears, Ngozi explained, "Our baby. I woke up to use the restroom and saw that her cot was empty. I tried to wake you, but you didn't respond. So, I went searching for her and found her walking around the living room." John frowned, finding her story hard to believe. "Honey, how can a baby less than a month old be walking? Maybe you were hallucinating because you're so tired. Let's go back to bed. You need rest." Reluctantly, Ngozi followed him back to the bedroom. When they checked the cot, they found the baby sleeping peacefully. Ngozi was confused but said nothing. She lay down beside her husband, unable to shake off what she had seen. The next night, around 12:30 a.m., Ngozi was woken by the sound of a woman singing. At first, she thought it was Abai, their house help. Annoyed, she picked up her phone and called Abai. "Abai, are you alright? Why are you singing at this odd hour? Don't you know we're trying to sleep?" Abai, groggy from sleep, replied, "Ma, I'm not singing. I've been sleeping. Your call just woke me up." Confused, Ngozi ended the call and decided to confront Abai in person. However, as she left the bedroom, she realized the singing wasn't coming from Abai's room but from the living room. She cautiously approached and was met with another shocking sight. Her baby was dancing to the sound of a mature woman's voice, singing. Terrified, Ngozi ran back to the bedroom to wake John, but no matter how much she shook him, he didn't wake up. His deep snores filled the room. Ngozi sat on the edge of the bed, trembling. She couldn't bring herself to check the cot or go back to the living room. Eventually, she dozed off, still scared and confused. The following morning, she told John what had happened, but he dismissed it again, insisting she was imagining things. "Honey," he said, "I think you need to see a doctor. This hallucination of yours is getting worse." From that point, Ngozi became reluctant to care for the baby. She let Abai handle all the feeding and bathing, expressing her breast milk into a bottle for Abai to use. Ngozi avoided being alone with the baby, afraid of what might happen. A few nights later, John was woken by the sound of clattering plates in the kitchen. Annoyed, he tapped Ngozi and said, "Honey, go and tell Abai to stop disturbing my sleep. How can she be washing dishes at this time of night?" Ngozi, trembling, replied, "I don't think it's Abai. It might be the baby again." Alarmed, John checked the cot and found it empty. His heart sank. "You see what I've been trying to tell you," Ngozi said, tears streaming down her face. "This baby is not normal." Determined to find out what was happening, John tiptoed toward the kitchen, with Ngozi following closely behind. When they opened the door, they were met with an unbelievable sight. The baby was sitting on a kitchen stool, cooking on the stove. Ngozi screamed and collapsed, fainting again. The next morning, John confronted Ngozi. "Tell me the truth," he demanded. "Where did you get this baby? Did you do something to have her?" Ngozi was offended. "How can you accuse me of such a thing? I would never do anything fetish. But John wasn't convinced. Women can be desperate when it comes to having children. If there's something you're hiding, tell me now. Desperate for answers, they decided to visit their pastor. After listening to their story, the pastor came to their house to pray over the baby. As he prayed, he paused and looked at them solemnly. "This baby is fine," he said, "but a strange demon is using her to torment you. One of you has done something terrible in the past, and this spirit will not leave until you confess." Both John and Ngozi denied any wrongdoing. The pastor warned them that the torment would continue unless the truth was revealed. As he prepared to leave, Ngozi broke down and confessed. She told them how she had accidentally run over a young girl with her car and fled the scene to avoid being caught by the police. The girl's spirit began tormenting her in her dreams until she sought help from a native doctor. The native doctor had given her a small pot, claiming he had caged the girl's spirit inside it. Ngozi had buried the pot in their backyard, and her nightmares had stopped, until now. The pastor urged her to make restitution by confessing to the girl's mother and seeking forgiveness. Though reluctant, Ngozi eventually agreed. She went to the woman's house with John and the pastor. The girl's mother wept uncontrollably upon hearing the truth but eventually forgave Ngozi after much pleading. The pastor prayed for everyone, and from that moment, the baby became normal. Peace returned to their home, and they vowed to live their lives with honesty and integrity. The end. Thank you for watching this captivating story by African Tales MMA. Your support means a lot to me. Please click the subscription button and don't forget to let us know where you are watching from so we can say a special shout out to you. Stay tuned for more interesting story. Bye bye.